In this video, we're going to talk just a little bit about how whole food plant-based eating works and even go over a few of the things that it's specifically really helpful for. So how does eating whole food plant-based help anyways? Well, the first thing that it does is drastically increase the amount of fiber that you're going to get. Remember that fiber is only found in plant foods. There is no fiber found in animal-based foods, and processed foods often have the fiber largely removed. So eating a lot of whole plant foods, you're going to get way more fiber. This one is always a little bit funny to me because you hear a lot more about protein in terms of diabetes health than you do about fiber, but the statistics on these things would make it seem like it should be reversed of that. Fiber is incredibly powerful for diabetes health, and about 97 or 98% of Americans don't even reach the minimum recommended amount of fiber per day. Whereas, right around the same amount, 97, 98% of Americans do reach and far exceed the recommended amounts of protein, even those who are eating plant-based diets. So it seems like we should be hearing a lot more about fiber that almost everyone is deficient in than we do about protein, which almost no one is deficient in. But for some reason, it's been flipped on its head and we tend to hear a lot more about protein. I just want to put you at ease here and let you know you can and do get plenty of protein on a varied plant-based diet, but you also get plenty of fiber. And fiber is super important because it helps our bodies handle the sugar that naturally comes in our foods. It keeps you feeling full longer, lowers your risk of heart disease, which is the #1 killer of people with diabetes, so that's super important. Fiber also helps to pull any extra fat out of our bodies, and that's probably how it helps increase our insulin sensitivity through this mechanism. And when we're eating whole food plant-based, it just naturally is going to be a lot lower in fat, especially in saturated fat, which is the type of fat that is mostly causing the insulin to be blocked, causing the insulin resistance to start with. So like I mentioned, that fiber is clearing out those intramyocellular lipids. Same thing with triglycerides. It's when we eat whole food plant-based, triglycerides are hugely decreased for those who are having issues with it. This one can take a little bit of time, but trust the process. It will lower your triglycerides. And eating whole food plant-based, a lot of times people ask me like, oh, but my family may not want to eat this way. We will talk more about that in the future. But just to let you know, eating whole food plant-based drastically reduces the risk of ever getting diabetes in the first place for those who are not diagnosed yet. So your family might be like, well, I don't have diabetes. I don't need to eat that way. Just one thing for you to know is that if they would like to continue not having diabetes, this is a great way for them to eat as well. So what about diabetes complications? DM stands for diabetes mellitus. So what about some common complications? Does whole food plant-based eating work for these? Let's just go over a few of them. Whole food plant-based eating has been shown to be about the most powerful lifestyle treatment that there is for neuropathy, as well as for retinopathy, which is eye damage. It's fantastic for kidney disease because animal protein is really, really hard on your kidneys, while plant-based protein is much, much easier on your kidneys, not to mention that you won't be getting an excessive amount of protein anymore, which is easier on your kidneys as well. Protein does tend to be the main concern, the main thing we're looking at, the first thing we're looking at when kidney disease starts. There are other things too, but that's kind of one of the first. Whole food plant-based eating is, I believe I've mentioned this before, but it's fantastic for heart disease, which is the #1 killer of people living with diabetes. So we definitely want to make sure any program for people with diabetes should also be good for heart disease. The reason I keep saying that, I know I've said it in previous videos too, is because there is one really popular diet that gives you good numbers for your blood sugars, but is terrible for heart disease, and there will be future videos on that. I'll just let it go at that for now. Whole food plant-based eating is also great for clearing up your triglycerides for your liver health. It helps non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And it also helps with any labs that are outside of their target ranges like cholesterol and again, those triglycerides. Basically, any other diabetes complication or comorbidity, which means like another disease or syndrome you have going on that you can think of, is benefited by whole food plant-based eating. It really is just an all-around fantastic way to eat for your overall health.